Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the Same Old Arsenal podcast, episode 96. Our defence is Krul. It's a bit cruel. Poor old Tim Krul. Do you know what? I jumped up at the telly when Aubameyang stuck that in the second time. My wife says, "You can't see you, you know." I said, "I know, but..." How are you all in the chat box? Welcome. A few of you in there while we were watching the FA Cup draw. And yes, if you're joining us live and you haven't seen the FA Cup draw, we have drawn Leeds United at home. So we will play Leeds United at home in the FA Cup. Third round. A home draw is always nice. Bit of a tough draw as well. Leeds United will always come down and have a go at us. They'll bring a good crowd with them as well. So it'll be a tough old game. If you like a bet at the weekend, please go and have a look at FansBet. Link below in the description. Sign up. Use Same Old AFC as your sign-up tag, and you will help kids in Great Ormond Street Hospital just by betting. Also, I've forgotten what I was going to say now. What was I going to say? Oh, I don't know. I've forgotten. Let's get on with it. Harry, how are you?
Not too bad, mate. How are you?
Great to see you back.
It's been a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Busy man, mate, isn't you?
Yeah, I have been. I'm enjoying it, though. Can't complain. Just I feel like I don't have any time to do anything else, but always love chatting to you guys, so I'm really glad to be back.
Thank you very much, mate. What a lie, Lee. What a lie. Judges, how are you, mate?
Oh, I'm all right.
How did you do? God, tell us the story how you got home yesterday.
Oh, so it was an absolute nightmare getting home. We get on the train. Russell and Ken are already on the train. As we get there, the doors won't open, So we're saying, well, let us on. I don't know if you've been there before, Norwich. It's every hour the train. So I thought, I can't wait another hour for a train. Let us on. And then we went to the station master. Is that what they call them? And he turns around and says, all trains are cancelled. So we said, we've got a couple of mates on there, and he said, well, we can't, for some unknown reason, we can't open the doors. So they looked like they was going to get stuck in there. So eventually they got them out. We got out. And now we've got to wait for a bus to take us to Ely. And at this moment in time, it was freezing cold down here yesterday. Like the heavens opened up and it started pouring with rain. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, managed to get on the bus and we're off our way to Ely. I don't know where Ely is. It's the middle of the country.
Never heard of it.
No. So it's taking us wherever we're going, So we're on the way to Ely. So we get there. When we get to Ely, I had never seen so many people outside a station. I thought they was queuing up at the Emirates. It was unbelievable. So we're seeing them all there. Of course, all the people that are travelling from London to get to Cambridge have had to go to Ely, and now they're waiting for buses, and the families getting soaked. And we were just walking past going, Merry Christmas. It was just an absolute joke, you know what I mean? But we eventually got home. We got a train from Ely to Cambridge, then Cambridge to Broxbourne, I think it was, and we got off there, got home about 9:45, I think. So just in time for match of the day. So
a nice day.
It was all tough. It was tough, you know what I mean? So and a few of you can imagine a few of the boys had a few beers as well,
yes.
You know what I mean? So and there was no wee stops, It was So,
before we get going, if you could all like the video, that would be great. Liking the video helps us rank up. As I say everywhere, helps us rank up in what you'll see when you're watching YouTube videos. So if you could all go and hit the like button now, that would be great. It's 155 of you. If you could all hit it, that would be great. Harry, on to yesterday's game. Another poor performance, really. Defence all over the place, a non-existent midfield, and if it weren't for Aubameyang, well, where would we be? And also, I know he's come in for criticism, and I think it's awful criticism, but Leno yesterday, well, what a goalkeeper. I think he really announced himself yesterday. What a goalkeeper. I can never understand when I see people having a go at him. That second save in the second half, I mean, as a goalkeeper, I can't begin to tell you how hard that save was. He's going one way. He has to put all his weight back on to go back and turn the ball over the bar. A great save. But Harry, a poor performance yesterday.
Yeah, it was, but it wasn't poorer than what we've seen in recent weeks. And I guess that's the main point here. I mean, look, I was really, really critical of Unai Emery, and I will make this point now that I don't think that Freddie Ljungberg should be left in the job for more than a few weeks. I think we need to get the right manager in, and if it takes a few weeks, fine, we're going to have to stick with it. But for me, going till the end of the season with Ljungberg would be a mistake, I think personally, just based on the fact that I don't think he's experienced enough. And as much as we love Freddie, when you get rid of a manager because he's so problematic and his methods aren't working, then you bring in someone who's been working with him. Are you going to get the shift that you need? Maybe not. Maybe not enough of a shift anyway. But I guess the performance was poor overall, but I thought there were some positives, and I'm going to try and be a little bit positive today, because I think that Ljungberg, what did he have? One training session. I mean, it's a bit harsh to sit there and rip him to shreds, but I guess for me, what I liked was in the first half, I thought we were much more in control of the game of football than we have been in weeks. I thought that our passing had a lot more zip to it. There was a lot more variation to our play. So when we were playing out from the back, there was variation to it. Whereas under Emery, we kept seeing those same patterns of play, and that made us predictable, and that made it easy for teams to press us really high up the pitch. So that was a problem. It was good to see that that changed slightly. And obviously in regards to the lineup, I think we all know that Mustafi's not a good defender. We all know that David Luiz ain't a good defender. But I think the reason he picked those two was to try and be a little bit more competent in possession. And they pushed further up the pitch, which I think Mustafi allows you to do a little bit more, because he has got a bit more pace than the other two. And I thought as a result, in the first half, we were a lot better and we were a lot more dominant, and we squeezed the game in their half. Unfortunate, in my opinion, to go in at halftime losing. I thought we were really, really unfortunate. And I felt sorry for him. But having equalised when we did, I kind of expected Arsenal to push on and really take the game to Norwich. And it didn't really happen for a number of reasons, which I'm sure we're going to come into.
Yeah. I mean, Lee, I was expecting at least some kind of reaction from the players. We didn't get one, I don't think. Not unless you saw anything different to me. But what I do want to talk about is this Freddie thing. A lot of people are coming out and they're saying, well, just like Harry said there now, he's only had one training session, we shouldn't be getting on his back, this, that and the other. But people need to remember that Freddie Ljungberg's been here while Unai Emery's been here. He's been to all the training sessions, this, that and the other. Why? Look, it's his first game. I understand that, and I think what happened was that I think, like me, a lot of Arsenal fans expected some kind of reaction. Like we see with other teams when it's always horrible to play a team that have got a new manager, because that they're gonna be playing at 110% because they want to play for their places. Why don't you think we saw quite a reaction that we were all expecting?
Well, I think mainly because he's already at the club. I think that once we get a new manager, and say like if it was Allegri or Rodgers come in tomorrow, then I think they'll see a completely different game against Brighton on Thursday. I think mainly because what I think the problem is, and this is why I'm a little bit hesitant about bringing in someone like Ljungberg full time, is that I want someone to come in with clean slate, no allegiances or alliances to any player. And I felt that Freddie done that yesterday in his selection. And I was disappointed with his selection. I'm not going to lie. One training session or not, I get that. And I'm not worried about the performance so much. I think considering he's only had one training session and the team that he picked out, I thought it was a better performances than what I've been seeing. I thought it was more fluent going forward. We looked like we might score some goals, where I haven't thought that in the last few games. But I'm disappointed. I said it on an interview yesterday, and I'll say it now. If Emery had picked that team, everybody would have been going nuts in the dressing in the stadium, absolutely going nuts with it, because there was things in there that weren't quite right as far as I'm concerned. One of them being Mesut Ozil, playing wide left. When you've got people like Martinelli, who's been busting the gut to be playing, surely he's favoured to come in there. Pepe, who's not really done it under Emery, was there a chance for him to, under Freddie to be unleashed? Didn't get the chance. Very, very worrying that, he said in one training session, everybody keeps going on about, he's only had one training session. Well, he's had one training session to say that Pepe weren't good enough for whatever reason. So, my God, that must mean that Mesut Ozil must have been breathtaking in training. Must have scored 6 goals in 5 aside, you know what I mean? And 4 assists. And then an assist. Otherwise,
and a pre-assist.
And a pre-assist of a couple.
And a pre-assist.
Yeah, must have done that to get himself into the side, and I felt that he catered for him in that role there. I don't want to see Mesut Ozil playing left wing. People are slagging off Mesut Ozil for yesterday's performance, and you can see why, because it's not his role, it's not his performance, it's not his position, Then I look at it and I thought, well, what Callum Chambers, playing at right back, he's not really a right back, and I think to myself, well, who can play better than him right back? Well, Maitland-Niles could have done that job, a little bit better, and put Chambers into a central defensive position. That was another one I couldn't bear. Why is Maitland-Niles all of a sudden Bellerin gets fit and then he ain't had a look in, so that. But, sometimes you've got to play players in different positions because you've got injuries and whatever. But this is what I'm saying about when people go on about the transfer market, was a good one in the summer. Bellerin was not fit at the beginning of the season, and we didn't have a right back going into the season because we're playing makeshifts, and we're still, Bellerin injured again, and we're playing centre halves at right back. Kolasinac, I thought was a strange one, but in saying that, I thought he played well. I've got to say that I thought he was the best out of a bad bunch. I don't know what's happened with Guendouzi at the moment. I really don't. I thought he was absolutely poor yesterday for work rate. I'm not going to knock it, but I felt afterwards, not quite good enough.
Looked very disappointed to be taken off as well.
Yeah, but taken off. So I'll give Lundberg a little bit of credit for that. Then he brings on Sacco in front of Martinelli, and he give the ball away every single time. Martinelli comes on with 2 minutes to go and creates a chance. So another wrong decision, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. And another thing that was said to me, I think it could have been my Irish mate Ricky, who was over at the game yesterday. So I'll give him a little mention. It might not have been him because he's always had a few beers, but then he don't talk sensible. But he did talk a sensible thing if it was him. So I apologise if it's not. When he turned around and said there's a completely different Lacazette on away performances to home performances. Doesn't look like he can score a goal. Doesn't look like he can hold up the ball. But then when you see him at home, he's a different animal. And I was just trying to think just before I come, and I can't remember the last time Lacazette scored away from home. Does anybody quickly know when it was? So I thought to myself, so is it? And I think it made another point of saying, we're not good enough to have them two in the team up top when we're weak at the back and weak in midfield. So we need to shore up the midfield to, particularly when we're away from home, and just go with the one up top. So. So some good points there made, so and it's true what somebody said to me today. He said, like, for the last 10 years, we have been awful at the back, right? Why is it? And if all the fans can see it and say it, why can't this recruitment team see this? Gary Cahill was a perfect example of someone that we could have done with at central defender for nothing, by the way, as a stopgap until someone else comes through. He's the sort of player that we need. People are saying Valencia away. Was that last season? So he's not scored in the Premier League.
Was that the last time he scored away? Deary me.
Well, when was his last Premier League goal? I'll change that then because it's a little bit different. But Aubameyang to me was playing wide yesterday. I thought he worked very, very well, and forget about the penalty. Great finish for the second goal. And I have to say, if that's true what you said earlier on, that if it wasn't for him, we'd be bottom of the league. Well, I'm worried, boys. I'm really worried. I can't see us when we're going to get a win next time and next game. And if that's the case, we're looking like we're going to go into a relegation fight without any players that can fight. You know what I mean? And that'd be a real worry. So we've got to sort this out quickly. And, you know, I don't think that we should make rash decisions on one game. I'd still continue with Lundberg for a little while until we get the right man. Now, if, you know, people are saying, oh, it ain't Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers is not going to come out on here like and be foolish like Harry Redknapp was and said, yeah, I want to be the England manager. And then when he didn't get it, Spurs sacked him. You know what I mean? So he's not going to be silly. He's going to keep his powder dry and wait, you know, and wait till what happens. You know what I mean? It's no good him saying, yeah, I want the Arsenal job when they've not even offered it to him. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't believe in all that stuff at the moment. If Brendan Rodgers is the one that they want, then they've got to say that. Well, I believe if that's the one they want, they've got to make him come to Arsenal, and that is by promising him that he's going to get a lot more money than what he's going to get at Leicester. He's going to have a bigger fan base, you know, a bigger club, bigger ambitions, blah 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 blah. So it's up to the board now what they really want. This is a massive decision for this board. One, because Arsenal are in free fall at the moment, and two, it will show us what they are all about.
Mm.
Also, sorry, Craig, just before just going back to the lineup, because I did look at the lineup initially and I thought, what the hell is he doing? But when I calmed down a little bit and I looked at it like in a little bit more, like in a calmer state, a little bit after it was announced, when you think about it, Socrates has been shit for God knows how long. Mustafi's done all right in the cups. So to bring Mustafi in, was that really an outrageous decision?
No, I don't think it was.
Kieran Tierney, he's looked off the pace of late, and Lee, you were right. I thought Kolasinac was all right yesterday. Haven't really got any issues there. The other major thing he done was he brought Granit Xhaka into the side. I thought Granit Xhaka was one of Arsenal's better players yesterday.
Best player in midfield.
Agreed. So I think that made sense. The only thing I didn't like was Ozil on the left, and I think what let Freddie Ljungberg down yesterday was his desperation to include Aubameyang, Lacazette and Ljungberg all in the same team, but still have a midfield trio. That's what he wanted to do. A midfield trio that was going to be a little bit more, you know, less casual than Mesut Ozil, let's say. So I think his selection wasn't as bad as some people are making it out. I don't think anyway. I just think that away from home in particular, you got to just go Aubameyang or Lacazette. It's a no-brainer at the moment. It's got to be Aubameyang. And then you work the rest of it around that. I just think that's what's let him down there.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. But what I wanted to say is, you know, people are saying, oh, you know, he hasn't got a lot to pick from and this, that, and the other. What about the Rob Holdings and the Mavropanoses and the Zach Medleys and the Pepes even?
What has happened to them? Are they injured?
They can't do as bad as what we've got at the moment. Surely, Lee. Well, you know, he's got these young players, Mavropanos. I mean, what happened to Mavropanos?
I don't know. I totally agree with you. No one can do any worse than what we're doing at the moment. David Luiz has played every single game in the Premier League bar the first game of the season at Newcastle, which is their only away win, right? He's played in every game since. Now, can anybody defend that decision for him with his form and way he's played to play in every single game? Because I can't.
No.
You know what I mean? I can't. He's been woeful. You know what I mean? He limps off in the game on Thursday, and 2 days later he's back playing again. You know, does that show to me that you know, was he really injured? Did he really, you know,
needed to watch it there?
You know, it's just, you know, big, you know, oh, I don't fancy playing in midfield, don't fancy running around. I pretend I've got a chest injury. And then 2 days later, he's back playing. You know, Socrates, yes, deserves to be dropped. Mustafi, yes, deserves to come in for a chance. But then I look at it, where is Rob Holding? Is he injured? Someone please tell me, is he injured? I don't know. He just seems to have just drifted off of it. Did have a poor game in his last game. But this is what I'm saying about Arsenal. Rob Holding has a poor game. He's dropped. Certain players can play as crap as they want, and they're still playing. Another
thing as well that I think we're overlooking a lot is that if, let's say, for example, Luiz and Socrates are having a bad game, there's no one to come in and replace them. There's no one there. We've gone back to an Olivier Giroud situation, if you like. Giroud was playing every week, and he was, towards the end was poor because he knew that he was going to play every week. There's no one to replace Aubameyang. There's no one to replace Lacazette. There's no one to replace anyone in midfield because we haven't got any midfielders. So, they're going to be playing. Harry, do you think there's a bit of that creeping in?
Yeah, in a way, I feel like when you're a manager that's really, really under pressure, like Emery was towards the end of his tenure, I think you go one of two routes. You either think, fuck this, I'm going to change everything and bring another group of players in because what I'm doing is not working, or you're very cautious and you stick to the experience. And one thing about Luiz and Socrates that they have in an abundance more than anybody else that we have around the club in terms of central defenders is experience. Rob Holding's been out for a long time. In the games he has played, for me, he hasn't looked quite right physically. I guess you're only going to get to the right level, though, if you are playing games. So, it's a balance of whether you think it's worth taking a risk so you can get him up to speed, because that is a real problem for us. Callum Chambers, for me, is a strange one. He could play at centre-half, but Callum Chambers is one of those players for me where he's not quite good enough to establish himself as an Arsenal centre-back, but he's not quite good enough to be a right-back either. He's kind of like an in-between man where he can do a job to a decent standard, but he's not going to nail down a position in either of those places. So for me, I think that Emery was just playing it safe, sticking with those two. And Mavropanos, going back to that, he's awful. I don't even know why we signed him, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I'm Greek. I want him to do well. A couple of Greeks come to Arsenal and we're having a party, but ultimately they're not good enough. A
lot of people in the chat now are saying that we should play Chambers and Luiz in defensive midfield. Lee, what would you say about that?
Well, in the short term, I'll definitely do that. I think David Luiz played there till he got injured on Thursday night, and I'm quite impressed with him there. He's good. Listen, Dave, let's not beat around the bush. David Luiz is a good footballer, shit defender, but a good footballer. Let's be honest. So I wouldn't mind seeing him there or Chambers in there. But my feeling is, I know Dino. What is his name? Harry
Mavropanos.
That's him. Dino Mav. Is he really that bad? Because I watched the comedians at the back there at the moment. He's not better than them. Then he might as well start going. He might as well do a course of waitering, because if he cannot be better than them three, he's got no chance of being a footballer, is he?
I agree.
Wow,
he should be a waiter. I agree. He should go to waitering.
Yeah. Well, is he that bad? Is he that bad?
For me, he's a car crash waiting to happen.
Right, okay, right.
Well, did he got sent off his debut, didn't he?
Yeah.
Who recruited him then?
Exactly, and this is the problem. It doesn't matter whoever the manager is going to have this problem with this new structure, that they may not have full say in who they recruit. But I still expect them to be able to do more with what they've got. David Luiz is a cowboy at times, yeah. But he has got a lot of experience. He has played at a very high level. Socrates, he's a cowboy as well, but he played for Dortmund for a very long time. He's an experienced international. There's got to be more to come out of these players. And I just feel like, for a number of reasons, we're not getting the best out of them. One of them is the way our team is set up. And we were talking about Mustafi backing off. I think we were talking... I don't know if we were talking before we came on, but Mustafi keeps backing off the challenges and dropping deeper and deeper. And that's poor. But if you're Mustafi in that situation and you look to your right and your right back's not there, and you look to your left and your central defensive partners on the bloody halfway line, you look in front of you, your midfielders are nowhere to be seen. At some point, you're going to have to be like, right, what do I do now? You're going to get in that catch-22. Do I go to the man? Do I risk missing it and leaving a space? Do I watch the overlap? There's so many different factors that are making this team defensively weak. And it's partly down to the players not being good enough, but it's partly the way they're being set up as well.
I just got to say about that, because someone just put it in the chat. I was actually at Old Trafford on his debut, and I thought he was magnificent on that day.
He was.
He played Lukaku. Actually, Lukaku got injured, if you remember. He done him as well. And I thought, a bit of nastiness as well, But... I think then he played against Leicester in the next game, got sent off, and when he got sent off, they might have seen him since. Postcard him because I haven't seen him since.
He can't stay fit, boys, as well. That's a big problem with him. He can't stay fit. He's had a lot of injury problems, and I
Well,
mean,
if you can't stay fit, you can't be a professional footballer. Can you?
Exactly.
that's right.
I just want to bring this in here now. This is from Bill. Bill, thank you very much for your kind donation, mate. Thank you very much indeed.
Nice
Bill
car,
says,
nice car, Bill.
yeah, nice car, yeah. Nice car indeed. I hope that is yours.
It should
We
be
need to sell.
sell.
We need to sell these players over the next 2 windows to rebuild the squad. He thinks we need to sell Luiz, Mustafi, Socrates, Torreira. Interesting. Xhaka, Maitland-Niles, Ozil, and Aubameyang. I'm surprised at the Aubameyang one, but I could kind of see why you might, to be honest. He's 30. What is he? 31 now. We can get good money for him, and kind of take the Liverpool approach. What Liverpool done? I mean, they sold 2 top players, and brought in another. Brought in 2 top players again in Alisson, the goalkeeper.
Craig, can I say that? Like people are saying, I don't see it. You can't sell Aubameyang and then say, "Oh, we're going to play Martinelli up front," or
no, that's not what I'm saying.
If you're going to sell Aubameyang, because we had the great conversation about this on the way home yesterday. If you're going to sell Aubameyang, he's 30, 31 years of age. You either get him on a long-term contract now, and you ain't going to get the money, or you get the money and bring in somebody else. Reinvest, like you're saying, what you're doing for Liverpool. Now that is a good argument, and that is something for the club to do. Look, if he's not going to sign a contract, then I don't think you've got a choice. You've got to get the best money we can for him, and then move on. But who you're going to get in is that with this board, if they're recruiting players that like some of the defending, a couple of those players there you're talking about selling. We've only just bought.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want to sell Aubameyang. God no.
But there's going to come a time when he's going to be surplus for requirements. Whether it's 1 year now, 2, 3, 4 years. Sometimes you have to be ruthless. But how are you going to sell Ozil? I don't know, because
no one's going to want him at 350.
No one's going to want him. Torreira, I'd get out the door tomorrow. They start singing his name there. He's only 5 foot high. When they say that, I say I wish to say goodbye. You know what I mean? Because he's to me such an ill-disciplined player. I don't want him, but he's sort of taken over from the role of Aaron Ramsey, and I don't want him doing that. If he's not going to do the role that he's supposed to be doing that we bought him for, then fine, let him go.
Didn't you think yesterday though, when he did come on, he made some really, really important interceptions on the edge of our penalty area. He got himself back, and that's what you want to see from Torreira. So should we not give him a little bit more time? Emery's gone.
I did see that, and I thought that he'd done that well. But then the next minute, I see him bombing up down the right-hand wing, and then I see him having the shot at the end, which I'm not having a go at. But what I'm saying is, Harry, is when it breaks down, right, and this is what happened yesterday. As soon as, and for that, we got it to 2-2, right, and Xhaka give the ball away for the first time in the game, and because he give away the ball, our 2 midfield players are just bombed on. So when the ball breaks, they've got a free run at our central defenders. A little 1-2, got a little bit that, and they're on our goalkeeper. Someone's got to be disciplined enough to just stay in there. Now, if Torreira is that man and can do it, then fine. But I look at it and I just think, he just seems to do what he wants to do. But I'm going to say that Guendouzi is the same, but I sort of give him a little bit more of a free ride because he's younger. But he should have learnt by now, Harry, to hold a little bit more. And Xhaka was the only one that was disciplined yesterday, if I'll be honest.
I'd like to see Torreira under a new manager before we start going too ham on him.
Yeah, fair point. Very good point.
I'd like to see, if the new manager comes in, and if the new manager, puts his arm around him and tells him this is what I want you to do, and you're gonna play a defensive role in midfield, then perhaps that perhaps he becomes a better player here in that, and gets on the pitch and does what we all know what he can do. My next point is. I had a go at Aubameyang. Well, I didn't say it. Well, I didn't have a go at Aubameyang, but I was disappointed when Aubameyang was made captain. Didn't think he was the right choice at all. But yesterday, I thought he led by a very good example. And when I say I thought he led by a good example, was the penalty. incident. He missed the first one, but had the balls to step up and take it again after getting slagged by Tim Krul. And again, he's carried us. And, if it wasn't for him, we lose the game again. Is he starting to... Harry, I'll come to you first. Are you having a different opinion now on Aubameyang as captain?
I still don't necessarily think he's captain material. But I've said in the past, haven't I, that if you don't have a standout candidate, you should just give it to your best player. That's what I think. And I think that is a case of this. I've actually noticed Aubameyang's attitude maybe not to be so great in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if anyone noticed this.
I agree.
I thought against Eintracht Frankfurt, we were always praising Aubameyang for his sort of the way he is with his teammates. Remember that time where Lacazette needed a goal, we gave him a penalty. When Pepe needed a goal, we gave him a penalty. And we've always praised him for that and said what a team player he is. But there was a couple of occasions against Frankfurt where I noticed sort of from being obviously in the ground that he kind of had a go at players around him when they couldn't make the pass. And some of the younger players were trying to find him. I think it was on the left. Was it on the left-hand side? Was it Willock? There was one situation. Willock took the ball off him. He wasn't happy. And I think he's just gone into his, he's in a bit of a mood at the moment. I don't know if it's to do with the contract negotiations. But I don't know. I'm just getting that vibe from him that he's not happy with things. And I don't blame him. This is not me having a go at him. When you think about the way we're playing, the state of the club at the moment, and the fact that we're asking this guy to sign a contract and commit his future, we don't look like we're going to get Champions League football. And that's ultimately what he's after at his age. So I get it. I'm not sure if I would have given him the armband. He's a great player. He leads by example, but is he a leader? I don't know.
Lee, Archie brings up a good point here. He disagrees. And he says that Aubameyang is the one sacrificing himself for the team playing wide.
Couldn't agree more with that. I couldn't agree more with that. I think, he has played wide yesterday. I thought his attitude was good yesterday. What I see of it, his body language was good. He worked hard. But ultimately, he is being sacrificed a little bit there, and the other side of it is we are relying on him too much. If he doesn't score, who does? Who does? You know what I mean? Lacazette had a good chance in the first half, missed it. Aubameyang, gets that chance in the second half from the corner. It's not. He makes it look easier than what it is, boys. Smashes it home. And I do think that he's not. He's playing out wide. I think that if you're going to play him, you've got to play him up top, and it's a big. Listen, Emery's got a lot of stick. And quite rightly so. But at the beginning of this season, he turned around and said, the player that I want is Zaha. The reason that he wanted Zaha is that means then he can play the guy, Aubameyang, up front. And then Zaha can play on either side of the flank, pick the ball up. And what he would do was get the ball and go from box to box or halfway line to the edge of the box, carrying the ball, giving us something different. Then when in the final third, he could take players on and beat them. And then creating space for the likes of Aubameyang to score goals. And that we've not got that. We've not got that. Pepe does it but doesn't do it in the way Zaha does it. And I think that because of that, the balance of the team was all wrong this season. And, maybe Emery realised that he's, got hung out to dry a little bit. If your manager comes out and you really want that manager, it's like, say, who they go for now, and he turns around and says, look, you by hook or by crook, I want that player. Then I'm sorry, boys, if you really want your manager and you really believe in him, you go out and get that player. They could have got Zaha if they wanted to. They would have had to have paid over the odds. But I'll tell you that now, looking at it, would it have been over the odds now when we are in the league, because we're going to lose an absolute fortune by not getting where we are now, And sometimes, people, so what we do is we go and get Pepe, inexperienced, don't know nothing about the Premier League, not on the cheap, because it weren't on cheap, but in instalments. Now, the end of it, boys, I keep going on to this. Zaha made it abundantly clear that he wanted to go. So basically, all right, go up to them and say to them, "What we give you something? What can we do to push this over the line?" And a £40 million bid, boys, was never going to do it. You know what I mean? It's taking the Michael, and we're in a real tough position going into the new year now. We've got some real tough games, and also we've got the FA Cup coming up as well now, which is not going to be easy. So I feel that the board have got some real, I don't think you can just chuck it all at Emery's door, and I don't think you can chuck it at the fans because we're all toxic and we moan a lot and all that. We've got the board have let him down. They've let us down as well. They've not given the funds, and the manager coming in. Any manager that is that's got any ambition, you've got to give them what they want. If you're saying, "Oh, Brendan Rodgers won't come," well, he will come if you say, "I'll tell you what, I'll give you 300 million, and this and that." He'll come, of course he will. But you've got to
happen now, is it?
Come. Well, why not? It should do. Manchester United have spent 300 million. You know what I mean? And they do that every season.
Arsenal, mate. They're not going to give a manager £300 million.
Of course they're not. But what I'm saying is, you listen. What they've done over the years, Craig, is they've done that. Who have they've got rid of Ramsey? Yeah, they've replaced him with who? We've got rid of Czech. Who have we replaced Czech with? We've got rid of Koscielny. We've replaced him with.
Is Leno not better than Czech?
I'm not saying it isn't, but then all right. So then if you replace, but then you've got Martinez. I'm just saying, experience after experience. You cannot keep downgrading on players and expecting players to come up. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. We've let so many players go.
Yeah, we have.
And not replace them with like for like. You can even go like we let Cazorla go. You know what I mean? And Jack Wilshere go. And replace them with young boys coming through. And it's hold on a minute. We can bring in Maitland-Niles here, and we can bring in Rose Smith, and we'll cut down the wages of the two players we just got rid of. We're saving ourselves another £50,000-60,000 a week instead of going. Do you know what? No, we need to be doing this and doing that, and making the squad better. And my worry is, Craig, and I'll say this now. Where is the improvement going to come from these boys now when we can't? We're thinking, well, it weren't too bad against Norwich, but they're one from bottom boys. We've got to be really. There's got to be a massive improvement than what we've got. To do. And you can go on about Czech and listen. I think Leno's probably a better guy, but wouldn't it have been good if we had someone like Leno and a real experienced goalkeeper pushing him and learning him instead of two goalkeepers that are not quite experienced enough? Just little things like that. That's what I'm saying.
Well, going back to the replacement thing, the biggest one we never replaced was Patrick Vieira.
Well, to replace, some players you can't replace, Craig.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we never replaced him with his strength, his physicality, his leadership. Do you know? I mean, he's a massive player to lose. I mean, you could even go as far as back and say we've never replaced David Seaman, really. I mean, Leno's been the best goalkeeper we've signed for years. Am I wrong? Am I right? I mean, you go through it. Who we've had? Lehman's was a good goalkeeper, yes, a good goalkeeper. Then that clown, what was his name? Almunia. I mean, that bloke. Honestly, I actually met him in Cork. Would you believe that Watford were playing Cork City in a pre-season friendly? And I had a few words with him. Come across as a really nice bloke, but I didn't have the heart to tell him that he was shit. But he was so bad. And if you look at the players that we've had come through, that have just been so bad, and everyone talks them up so much. And I agree with you, Lee. There is, there's a lot of penny pinching gone on there. We can save wages here, we can save wages there, this, that, and the other. And someone's put in Richard Wright. Oi, Richard's my mate. He's a good goalkeeper, Richard. Just wasn't good enough for Arsenal, that's all.
The penny pinching's got to stop, Craig.
Yeah, it's got to stop. Of course it's got to stop. We've got to go out there. And like you said, mate, we've got to start buying stars. Because we've had this argument plenty of times, Lee, where you say that Arsenal are a pull for a footballer, and I say, well, why? I don't think we are. We haven't been. Harry, would you agree with me? At the moment, if you were a footballer looking to come to the Premier League, right? Would Arsenal? Do you think would Arsenal be on your radar as a club to come and play for?
I think they would in some ways. First of all, the London factor is massive. I think when you're coming from abroad, I think that's a big thing. I guess in terms of wages, we do pay some really high wages to some players, so I'm sure Arsenal could compete in that sense. But in terms of what's going on the football pitch, put all the club stuff aside for a minute. I think that right now you wouldn't really want to come here, would you? You wouldn't really want to be involved in this team. And I think, and I know a lot of people go on about the fans and stuff. And for me, like Lee said the other week, I think it isn't the fans that make the team play shit. It isn't the fans that stop the board spending money, etc., etc. But I do think incidents like the Xhaka one show us in a bad light as a fan group. And I think that I'm not talking about Arsenal fan TV or anything like that. I'm talking about incidents that occur in actual games like that Xhaka one. I think that showed us in a bad light as a fan group. And I think there would have been a lot of professionals out there looking at Xhaka's situation who had sympathy for him. And that could put people off coming because that turned really nasty really quick.
Yeah, I do see that. So that will put that theory then turns everybody off of Real Madrid.
No, but Real Madrid is a different kettle of fish, Lee.
Why?
Because Real Madrid is Real Madrid is Real Madrid, and Arsenal is Arsenal. Let's not. Yeah, but if Real Madrid didn't win the title for 15 years or whatever it is, and Real Madrid were performing the way we're performing, it wouldn't be long before people started going, actually, I'd rather go to Atletico Madrid. Real Madrid are a great club, but Real Madrid always stay at the top. They've won 4 out of the last 6 Champions Leagues.
Yeah, because
they've always kept that eliteness. We don't have that anymore. We haven't won a title since 2004.
No, I get that, and that's down to the people running our club. Don't forget with Real Madrid and teams like that, they have was it polls or whatever, votes to get off there. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ, Cronco wouldn't last 6 minutes with a poll around here, it'd be out. So it is a little bit different, and I get what you're saying. But Arsenal is still a big draw, boys. I don't give them. What anybody says, it's still the biggest club in the south. Let's not get that, it's the biggest club in the south. You can say about Chelsea winning trophies and Chelsea this and Chelsea that, that ultimately they were not as big as Arsenal, and Arsenal's still a big pull. Now, you saying that Liverpool haven't won the league for 30 years, it doesn't stop players going to Liverpool and people going to Liverpool, and Manchester United didn't win the league for 20 odd years. The biggest club in the country, in the world, some say in the world. It doesn't stop the draw of going to Man United. Now, I'll go back to the thing here. Harry Maguire knows what was going on with Brendan Rodgers. What a great situation he must have been having there. It must have been a pleasure to play under. But he still left for Solskjaer and Manchester United. Now, who at the end of the day, he didn't leave because it was all about Solskjaer and all that. He left because it was Manchester United. And at the end of it, he still would say it is a better move for him. And that is the same with Arsenal. If you've got that big pull for it, it is a massive, massive club. And I still say it's a pull. At the end of the day, there will be managers hoping that they get the knock on the door and Arsenal come knocking, and I do believe that. And no one is ever going to tell me the club's in disarray at the minute. I'm not going to argue with that. I can't go into that. But I will say that Arsenal are a big, big pull. Also, if you as a manager, if you could turn this around, I think that Emery was always a dead man walking going into this job now. I think the next man coming in is in a much better position than what Emery was. I really do believe that, and all of a sudden now it's not, they're not talking about the past years now. It's about getting the team back. And if someone comes in there and does that, he's going to be given a lot of credit for it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, I don't know, mate. I don't know. Like I said, we've had this conversation many, many times, and I just can't see how I don't think we are a big pool anymore. I mean, that lot down the road, I think for a footballer, if you want to come to London, they might be a bigger pool. They're in the Champions League. They've got a brand spanking new stadium. Arguably got better players than us.
I just
Go on.
sorry, mate. I just think like we are Arsenal fans and we have grown up on English football and we know the history of the clubs, and like, Liverpool have got a fantastic history, Man United have got a good history, Arsenal got a good history. We know that they're the three biggest clubs in this country. But if I'm a Spanish kid growing up in somewhere in Spain and three clubs come knocking on my door, one of them's being managed by Pep Guardiola, the other one's being managed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and the other one's being managed by Unai Emery, I'm automatically going to probably want to go to Manchester City, because looking at it from that perspective, you would say that they're the best equipped to go forward, and you wouldn't really give a shit about what happened in the past. And that's kind of my point. Being a big club is about your history, but it's also about the direction in which you're heading. And I don't want to say Arsenal are not a big club, but Manchester City have shown ambition over the years. I know they've got money and whatever, but they always go and get the best managers now. They're always going to bring in the best players. So as someone who doesn't know about the history, who doesn't give a shit about what's happened in years gone by, I can't see why you would not go to a club like that.
Yeah. I do agree. I want to bring this one in from Russ. Good evening, mate. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming along, and thanks for watching. We need to be going for defenders like Dunk. We have to change the whole ethos of this Barca-like wannabe playing out from the back. It's killing us, and we have to go back to basics. I couldn't agree more with that. There's a lot of players in this league that just because they're not a big name are being overlooked. I mean, you can't tell me that Lewis Dunk won't come in. You can't tell me that Lewis Dunk wouldn't improve our defence, because he would improve it instantly.
Of course he would.
Do you know, Lee?
Yeah, I totally agree. You know what I mean? But players like, I'm going to be honest. Lewis Dunk's a good shout from Russ there. Like, you know what I mean? But he ain't going to come cheap from Brighton. Brighton ain't going to give him away. And this is the trouble. This is why we don't go for these Premier League players, because they're not giveaways, are they? They're not going to do it in instalments. They're going to want top money for them. If you look at someone like Brighton, why would they sell their best defenders at this moment in time on the cheap? Because one, it's going to do their chances no good, and also, Arsenal ain't prepared. So what you've got to do is go out to Lewis Dunk. I don't know how much Lewis Dunk is worth. Just say he's worth 15 million. Arsenal are going to have to go 20 million, and they're not prepared to do that. They might go, well, we'll give you 7 million and 3 million instalments. You know what I mean? They've got to be like, that's where Arsenal are not a big club no more. You know what I mean? Someone just said on the thing, I said it a couple of weeks ago, Jack Grealish, go to Aston Villa and say, right, there's 40, 50 million for him, because he's 10 times, he's the sort of player that we need over someone like Mesut Ozil. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's the sort of players that we've got to be looking at now. Someone that's going to work, run and do that and create, and if you are a manager of any sort, you're going to be saying to, well, I want to bring this player and this player and this player in. And Arsenal now, if they go and get if they go and get someone like Arteta, and I don't want to be disrespectful to Freddie Ljungberg or say, oh, Freddie, you're going to get the job. It's the cheap option. If you're going to go in and get an inexperienced manager, right, that is because it's a cheap option. If you want to go and get Brendan Rodgers or Allegri, you go and prove that you're a wannabe top person. Now, Henry's right what he says about Manchester City. Manchester City had to start somewhere. When they got all this money in there, no one was probably wanting to go there and all that. So what they done was they went and got Robinho. Do you remember? And they put loads of money on it, you know what I mean? But what it was a statement of intent. It wasn't ever going to be the right fit for them or whatever, you know what I mean? But that was their statement of intent. Then they got the likes of companies and the Agueros and all that come along. So, but that's what they've done. And Arsenal now have got to do exactly the same, a statement of intent. And that is what they've got to do.
That's a good point, mate, actually. Where there was a good point coming in and out, and I hate this this chat because it moves too quick and then I lose it. I wish there was an option that I could slow it down. I can't find it now. Just let me. I've been scrolling and scrolling and scrolling while you were talking, Lee. Oh no, that's not it. Why has that come up? No. Anyway, basically, here it is. Austin says, if you could swap 3 players with other players in the Premier, who would you pick and why? Bloody good question.
One,
but my first, there's 2 there straight away who I'd have in the Arsenal team.
What realistic?
Realistic, yeah, realistic signings. Dunk and Grealish. God,
I'll take them.
I would love to have Grealish in the middle of midfield playing for Arsenal. My word.
And Decorah.
Yeah, Decorah would be a good shout as well. Yeah, Harry, anyone's jumping out at you?
I'd like to, rather than Decorah, I'd probably take Ndidi from Leicester. I quite like him.
There's another one that's just come into my head as well, and that's that John McGinn from Aston Villa and all. He's quality.
Yeah, he's good.
I'm not too convinced on Dunk, to be honest. I don't know. I just think that if we had signed Dunk in the
it's the name, isn't it? Dunk.
Go mad. Yeah, it don't go, does it? It's not exotic enough.
It's not exotic enough. You know,
we could call him Dunkinho, yeah.
Yeah, do like, you know. But that is what we need. We need someone. I know, and I'm agreeing with Russ here. Like, we need someone that just defends what it says on the tin. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's going to get his head in there, make headers, make people around him do it. I don't see that with our guy. I don't see any of our blokes turning around at our defenders and, you know, like they might slap the ground a little bit, like, you know what I mean? But I want to see proper defenders.
We've got a game on Thursday, a very, very important game.
We'll see Dunk, won't we?
Yes. Are we playing in Europa League on Thursday?
No, Brighton
on Thursday.
Yeah.
Is it on Thursday? Jesus, I thought we had I thought it was a Europa League game.
It's because of that. It's on Prime something, video Amazon. Or something, Amazon or something.
Is it really?
So all the games on. You can watch every game. Obviously,
wow,
because they're all on different. But like every game's on Amazon Video or something. There's games tomorrow, games Wednesday, and like Man United are playing Spurs. I think that's 7:30, and at 8:15.
Should pay more attention, really, shouldn't
I? It's the Merseyside derby, so it's 2 really good games, and we happen to be going on a Thursday because we play the following Monday as well. See, so that's why.
We'll get this one. This is Flo. Good evening to you, Flo. How are you?
$14.
Yeah, that's 2 Big Mac meals, mate. Lad, you're welcome. Looks like my advice to empty the Emirates. Yeah, Hannah McFlurry. Looks like my advice to the Emirates worked. We got change. Best $160 I've ever spent. Also, put in a bid to buy the club, but Kroenke said that he's not selling. That the club makes me millions.
Yeah.
You'd well believe that. We've got a massive game coming up against Brighton. I don't want to talk too much. We won't talk about too much about it because Dan, if you didn't see on Twitter, Dan's not with us this evening, unfortunately. But on Wednesdays, every Wednesday now,
a hen night, I was saying, isn't he?
Yeah, something like that. Onto a hen do. On Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 7:00, Dan's going to be doing his own show. And he's going to be previewing all our fixtures every Wednesday night at 7:00. I'm not too sure what he's got in store because I've said to him that he can do whatever he likes. So I'll be watching it on Wednesday as well to see what he's up to. He says he's got a few ideas on what he wants to do. So Dan's going to be previewing the Brighton game. But lads, would it surprise you to see us steamroll Brighton now on Thursday? Harry, would you be surprised?
No, I wouldn't. I expect Arsenal to win that game. I expect Arsenal to roll them over. I think there'll be a bit of a buzz in the stadium, being Freddie's first home game. I think the atmosphere at times in recent weeks has not been helpful because so many people have been fed up. So many people wanted Emery to go. He's gone now, thank God. So now we can move on. And I think the fans will get behind Ljungberg for the next few weeks at least. And, you know, there will be people that will question some of his decisions, and rightly so. We're entitled to do that as supporters. But I think people will be behind him on Thursday, and I think Arsenal will get all 3 points.
Lee?
No, I don't think that. I don't think we'll win Thursday. I can't see us getting a win at the moment. I think defensively we're so weak. it's unreal, like, you know what I mean. So that I'm hoping that we will do. You know, we're just going back to Aubameyang there and all that, like, you know, about attitude and body language. You know, when he scores a goal and then the next minute they're having a one-on-one situation when no one's near him and all that. I think that's what's giving him the ump. You know what I mean? I see them doing real solid tackles and things like that, and you know, like Aubameyang and Lacazette, as soon as they get the ball, getting the defenders are around them, amongst them and all that, like. And I see the same with Brighton. Unless he changes the philosophy of the side, I think he's got to go with the three up top, two wider players, and to me, he's got to be ruthless and maybe drop Lacazette or Aubameyang. You can't drop Aubameyang, and then, as I said earlier on, Lacazette is a different animal at home. So I think that he's got to bring in either Martinelli or Pepe to go wide, and then go for it. And you know, if it means Mesut Ozil playing in a free role, then let it be.
What about a 4-1-3-2? Four at the back. Torreira in front of the defence. Ozil, Pepe, Martinelli, Aubameyang, and Lacazette up front.
I think it's a little bit too attacking.
But that's we're the Arsenal. That's what we used to do. We used to.
Well, we haven't got a solid enough back four. I know that's the trouble. I know. I don't know. I just say, like, you know, listen. I'm watching it. Yes, I'm actually speaking to a few Norwich fans, and I think, oh, is it me or is it? Every time Norwich went forward yesterday, I thought they was going to score. Right? And I was speaking to Norwich fans because you think, like, and they was going, yeah, we felt we looked like we was going to score all the time, you know. So if you were Brighton today, which might work in our favour, by the way, these boys, is that they go, right, we're going to go for it, and it could leave them open a little bit, and we could exploit it, like, you know. So I think the first 20 minutes of this game will be very, very important. We've got to come out of the blocks, and we've really got to go out here and with beer luck, be 2-0 up, and hopefully, you know. But like Craig, I was talking to a Norwich fan yesterday. That Pookie, he was outstanding yesterday. I thought he was brilliant. That's his first goal in 9 Premier League games. Took him 20 minutes. You know what I mean? It says it all. It says it all.
No goal in 9 Premier League games. Arsenal. Hold my beer.
Yeah. We'll go and straight away, 20 minutes in, he's got his goal, right? You know what I mean? And there you go.
Well, what do you reckon on attendance, Harry? I mean, like, you know, going back to your Europa League game.
Good question.
Well, you know, Lee, I'm not just.
No.
You know, going back to that Europa League game. I mean, if there was 20,000 in there, 25.
If that.
I mean, and then, you know, it comes on the official thing. What was it? Was it 49,000?
It was funny because in the press room they bring, I think it's at halftime, they bring this page and they stick it on the wall, and it's for all the journalists that write their match reports that they can fill in their attendance. And literally the whole room was laughing when they brought that in, and they put it, and everyone was taking pictures of it and having a laugh because, I think someone turned around and said, if there's 49,000 here, then 29,000 of them must be invisible because where are they? Like, literally.
Why would they do that? Why would they embarrass themselves about that?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why they do it. They do it. Someone told me, it's on tickets sold.
Yeah, and it does. In fairness,
but that's fine. All right, if you sell 49,000 tickets, that's fine.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not the attendance.
No, it says. I think it says tickets sold for tonight's game on the sheet, but it's just funny because then they pass it off in the papers and stuff as a.
They must know the attendance. Let's say they must know how many. You know, like in computers these days, as your ticket goes through, they must know how many are there. Do you know what? I think that's important as well. Look, to know how many fans are there as well. Like, you know what I mean?
It is.
You know what I mean? Like, to see what the attendance is. You know, I don't know why they want to hide around the fact of that. Really,
I never get that. Harry, there's a question there for you, mate. To Harry, how about taking a game with Postecoglou?
He is a former Australian footballer, and he was the Australian national team manager. He's from Greek background. It's not for me, man. I just think that the level is completely different, and you know, I've been sitting here saying that, I'd love the Greeks to do well at Arsenal, but based on what we see so far, it ain't really happening, man. So it wouldn't be my shout, no.
And in more news, the GOAT has won the Ballon d'Or. The GOAT, the greatest footballer, the greatest footballer ever to play football.
Ronaldo.
Lionel Messi.
What? Leave it.
The greatest player ever to play.
Well, he won it this year.
Has won the Ballon d'Or.
This year, like, no, I'm not having
Brilliant. Doesn't need to. Anyone who says that he ain't the best player ever to kick a ball is in massive denial. Anyway, Lee, what do you reckon on attendance? Are we going to see a full house for Freddie's first home game?
No.
Any reason why?
Yeah, Tony, Andy, and Dan have got their Christmas do, so they're not going, like, you know what I mean? So they won't be there. So that's 3 short already.
Okay. So what if they put their tickets on the ticket exchange and someone takes them?
The club won't be able to sell them.
They're trying to sell them, like, because they don't like giving them 10%. But no, I think because it's a Thursday night, I've got there'd be a lot. I think it'd be about 50,000, 10,000 short. It won't be. Listen, that I know, like, people go on about things and all that. Like, there was that game on Thursday. There was a lot of complications for why that was, right. One of the reasons being that you can only go to that game if you was a season ticket holder. If you was a red member, you couldn't go.
Yeah.
Right. So that stopped there. Now, if you would say, like, couldn't go, like, say like it was me, I couldn't go to this game, right? I would have been reluctant to sell the ticket because it was only £15, and there was a chance that I could sell it to Harry, and Harry could sell it to a German, and then I could lose my season ticket. So there was that worry as well. For the sake of 10, £15, I think a lot of people thought, you know what, I can't be bothered because it's only cost me £10, £15. If it cost them 50, 60, 70, 80, £90, might have been a little bit different, So I do feel on that. And also, there was no corporate around because they'd sold it all to the Germans. Do you know what I mean? Like, so they was just selling Frankfurters up there, like, on the cheap. You know what I mean? So there was nothing else there for them. So I do think it was special circumstances that it was so low. I don't think ever that would happen again for a low attendance like that, if I'll be honest. So I think there'd be a big crowd. Also, right, why wouldn't you want to go at the moment? Like, you know what I mean? Because I can understand people not wanting to go because, Harry, you've been there as well. The football's been absolutely abysmal.
Yeah, it has.
Right, so it's got to be better than what it has been. So why not go, So let's see what it is. Oh, yeah, always love a German. Yeah, thanks for that.
We've been a bit flat tonight, lads, haven't we? It's not been...
No, listen, because I think, Emery gone, there is that thing that you want this great big lift, and he was going to go to Norwich and beat them 4 or 5-0. Realistically, we should have gone to Norwich, and we were expected to win those games. You know what I mean? So let's have a go at Lee Day today, isn't it? Like that, so at the end of it, like, I do look at it and think that
you've had a bad week this week, haven't you?
I had a bad week, like I do believe that Arsenal should be going to Norwich and winning regardless, and we're not. We didn't. You know what I mean? And there's a little bit of a negativity from it there. But I did see some things that look like it might improve, and I go to the game against Brighton with a little bit more faith than I did.
Yes.
If Emery was in charge, and I'll be honest, that is how I feel.
Yeah, that's the thing. No, I absolutely agree with you, mate. I've got a lot more faith in Freddie Lundberg. Watching Arsenal. I mean, I was actually excited to watch Arsenal against Norwich.
Same.
Don't know why, but it didn't turn out to be very exciting, did it? But I am again excited to see if it's got any better, because he's had longer with them, more training session, more time to sit down and talk, more time to get his tactics through, or how he wants them to play. He's had more time. So again, I'm excited to watch them again. Harry?
At the very least, we were entertained on Sunday. At the very least.
It was a good game. Wasn't it?
Exactly.
It was a good game.
And that's what I always used to say about Emery was under Wenger, we were shit at times, right? Towards the end. But most of the time we were entertained. Whereas I'm not joking, I was going to the Emirates sometimes under Unai Emery and I was fucking bored. That shouldn't happen. This is my day out. This is what I look forward to all week. I shouldn't go there and be bored out of my head. And there's nothing worse than that in football, in my opinion. So, yeah, I was pleased to see us be a bit more expansive, a bit more threatening going forward. Yeah, we didn't get the result we wanted, but you know what? He's inherited a load of shit. He's inherited a team that are on their knees in terms of confidence.
Yeah.
So it can only get better.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think be a good sign off there. So thanks everyone for watching. Over 500 of you at peak. That's amazing. Thank you very much indeed. My thanks to Mr. Harry. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And my thanks to, of course, my partner in crime, the judge.
Thank you very much. Yeah, really enjoyed that.
It looks like you did. It was very flat. It was a very flat podcast, but at the end of the day, there's only so many times we can keep coming back and talking about rubbish.
It'd be nice to talk about a win, wouldn't it?
It would be great. I mean, wouldn't it be great to, next Monday to be talking about a 5-0 win?
We can't next Monday.
Yeah, we got West Ham.
West Ham.
I really should look at it.
So we'll win 5-0 against Brighton. Won't be able to talk about it and go to West Ham.
Well, we will. Okay, so yeah, we'll have to go Tuesday then, won't we? But we'll have to talk about Brighton and West Ham. And let's hope we're talking about a 5-0 win over Brighton.
Unless we lose to Brighton and then we beat West Ham, in which case we'll only want to talk about West Ham.
No, West Ham, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, there's a few ways. Yeah, I suppose there's a few ways around it. But let's hope we're talking about 2 5-0 wins, 10 assists for Mesut Ozil.
5 pre-assists.
Yeah. 10 assists, 5 pre-assists, and then 3 pre-assists. And that
that's
we're
just
talking
in
about.
training. That's just in training.
Thanks everyone. Thanks very much, everyone, for sticking around and listening to us talk this evening. Just to remind you all, on Wednesday, Dan will be previewing our game against Brighton, and he might even go a little bit into West Ham if it's on Monday. But I've really got to start looking at these fixture lists. We're keeping Lee awake. Look at him, the poor old boy. Yawn. Try not to yawn. Trying to make it look like he's not yawning. Going.
I tell you what, I had a tough day yesterday. It was tough getting home. You know what I mean? And I had to be up early for work and that. I feel sorry for Lee Day, but that's how it was. It was a tough day yesterday. Tough travels.
Oh well, I hope it gets a bit better for you.
All for a point in Norwich. You know what I mean?
At least you come back with a point.
Yeah.
So. We'll see you all next week. It'll probably be Tuesday then, because I should really start looking at the fixture list on Tuesday, and we'll be talking about Brighton and West Ham, and hopefully we'll have the team back together again, and there'll be more. No, what am I trying to say? I just hope we've got something good to talk about. That's all.
Let's just hope and pray we've got an Arsenal win to talk about.
An Arsenal win.
Long time. Come on, you Gunners.
Come on, you Gunners.
Come on, Freddie.
Until we see you again, take care of yourselves and each other. Goodbye. Up the Arsenal.